The news spread faster than light across human space. Within hours, every person on every planet knew about the Velthari declaration of war. The aliens expected panic, fear, and chaos. Instead, they got something much worse for their plans. Laughter. Kim Min-ho was streaming live from his apartment in New Seoul when the news broke. He was a popular entertainer who made funny videos for millions of viewers. When he heard about the alien declaration, his eyes lit up like a child on Christmas morning. "Oh, this is perfect," he said to his camera. "Guys, you're not going to believe this. Some aliens just declared war on all of humanity. They want us to surrender and serve them." His chat exploded with laughing emojis and jokes. Min-ho stood up from his gaming chair and started walking around his room. "So I looked up these Velthari guys," he continued. "They're the ones from the old Truce, right? The scary bug-looking ones? And get this, they think they can beat us with ships that are 3,500 years old." He pulled up pictures of Velthari warships on his screen. They looked impressive, all dark metal and sharp edges covered with weapon ports and glowing lights. "Look at this." Min-ho laughed. "Look at these ships. They look like someone took a flying building and glued guns all over it. My grandfather's car has better technology than this." Within an hour, Min-ho's impression of the Velthari commander was everywhere. He made his voice deep and scary. "We are the mighty Velthari. Fear our ancient ships. Surrender to our outdated weapons." The video got 50 million views in 6 hours. On the colony world of Kepler 442b, Colonial Administrator Choi Hana was having a very normal day until her assistant brought her the war announcement. Hana was in charge of keeping the colony running smoothly. She dealt with everything from power outages to birthday parties. An alien invasion was just another item for her to-do list. "Ma'am," her assistant said, "Earth says we're at war with the Velthari Empire." Hana looked up from her paperwork. "The Velthari? Seriously? Those guys are still around." "Apparently. They say they're coming to conquer us." Hana sighed and made a note in her calendar. "Okay, do we know when they'll get here?" "Intelligence says maybe 3 months." 3 months, Hana repeated. "Right. Well, we can't have them showing up during the Harvest Festival. That would ruin everything. Can someone ask them to wait until November? October is really busy for us." Her assistant stared at her. "Ma'am, shouldn't we be worried? They want to destroy our colony. With what? Those old museum pieces they call warships?" Hana laughed. "Honey, our farming robots could probably take those things apart." She was right, and she knew it. The colony's farming robots were equipped with the latest human technology. They could break down mountains, reshape landscapes, and build cities in weeks. They were also very good at taking apart unwanted visitors. "Just send a message to Earth," Hana said. "Tell them we'll handle any Velthari ships that come here. But ask them to schedule it better next time. October is harvest season." Meanwhile on Earth, military historian Yoon Ji-sung was being interviewed by news stations from across the galaxy. Ji-sung was an old man with white hair and a gentle smile. He had studied every war in human history. He knew things about warfare that most people couldn't imagine. "Professor Yoon," the reporter asked, "should humanity be worried about this Velthari threat?" Ji-sung chuckled. "Worried? Oh no, not at all. This is actually quite funny." "Funny? They have 1,000 warships." "Yes, and they're all using technology from 3,500 years ago." "Do you know what humans were like 3,500 years ago? We were just learning to build proper cities. We didn't even have space travel yet." The reporter leaned forward. "But sir, the Velthari were already a space empire back then. Surely they're still dangerous." "That's exactly the problem," Ji-sung said. "They became a space empire and then stopped. They thought they were perfect. They didn't need to grow or learn anymore. Do you know what humans have been doing for 3,500 years? What? Everything. We've been learning, growing, building, creating. We've turned failure into success and success into even bigger success. The Velthari spent 3,500 years standing still. We spent 3,500 years running." Ji-sung stood up and walked to a window. Outside he could see the normal daily life of Earth. People going to work, children playing in parks, old folks feeding birds. It all looked so peaceful and ordinary. "The Velthari think this truce was just a peace agreement," he said quietly. "They think we were just happy to be left alone. But really it was humanity's longest science project." "Science project?" "We had 3,500 years to study them. To learn everything about their ships, their weapons, their tactics. We had 3,500 years to get ready. And now they want to test how well we use that time." The reporter looked confused. "Are you saying humans have been preparing for this war for 3,500 years?" Ji-sung smiled. I'm saying humans have been preparing for every possible war for 3,500 years. The Velthari are just one of them. Across the galaxy, the Velthari were monitoring human communications. They had expected to find fear, panic, and desperate preparation for defense. Instead, their listening posts were flooded with jokes, memes, and videos making fun of their empire. Commander Zephyrin was in charge of psychological warfare for the Velthari fleet. She was supposed to break human morale before the fighting started. Instead, she was getting very confused reports from her officers. Commander, one of her lieutenants said, the humans are not responding as expected. What do you mean? They're laughing at us. All of them. Even their military officers are making jokes about our ships. Zephyrin pulled up human communication intercepts on her screen. What she saw made no sense. Humans were sharing pictures of Velthari warships with funny comments. They were making videos of themselves pretending to be scared of ancient alien technology. They were treating the entire war declaration like entertainment. This makes no sense, she muttered. Why aren't they afraid? Maybe they're too stupid to understand the danger, suggested another officer, but Zephyrin wasn't convinced. She had studied human psychology for decades. Humans weren't stupid. When humans weren't afraid of something, it usually meant they knew something you didn't. Keep monitoring, she ordered, and find out what they're not telling us. Back on Earth, the laughter continued. Late-night comedy shows made jokes about alien invasions. Social media was full of memes comparing Velthari weapons to museum exhibits. Children started playing a new game called Ancient Aliens where they pretended to be scary, but hopelessly outdated invaders. But not everyone was just laughing. In quiet government buildings and hidden military bases, people were working. They were making calls, checking systems, and preparing things that had been waiting for 3,500 years. Wu Jin sat in his office, still smiling from the morning's meeting. His coffee was cold now, but he didn't care. On his desk was a thick folder marked Contingency Plans, Velthari Empire. It was very old and very detailed. Subin knocked on his door and came in. The president wants to know if we should alert the public. Alert them to what? Wu Jin asked. That some museum pieces are flying slowly toward Earth? The Velthari do have a lot of ships, Subin pointed out. Yes, they do. And every single one of them is exactly what we expected them to have. Our great-grandparents wrote down everything about those ships 3,500 years ago. So what do we do? Wu Jin opened the old folder. Inside were thousands of pages of plans, strategies, and preparations. We do what humans always do, Subin. We turn their strength into our advantage. And if they're stronger than we think, Wu Jin's smile got bigger. Then we show them what 3,500 years of human creativity can do. Captain Nam Soo-jung was having a quiet day patrolling the outer edge of the solar system when her sensors picked up the Velthari fleet. She was commanding 3 small patrol ships, the kind used for routine checks and training new officers. Her ships looked tiny next to the massive alien dreadnoughts approaching Earth. Captain, her communications officer said, we're getting a signal from the lead Velthari ship. Put it through, Soo-jung said. She was a calm woman in her 40s who had been patrolling space for 20 years. She had seen many strange things, but alien warships were new even for her. The face that appeared on her screen was terrifying. The Velthari commander had 4 arms, glowing red eyes, and teeth like knives. Behind him, Soo-jung could see the bridge of a massive warship filled with alien soldiers. Human vessel, the alien growled. I am Sub-Commander Velkoth of the Velthari 3rd Fleet. You will surrender immediately or be destroyed. Soo-jung looked at the alien commander with interest. Hello there. I'm Captain Soo-jung. Nice to meet you. Are you here about the war declaration? You know of our declaration? Oh yes, everyone's talking about it. It's been all over the news. Very exciting, she turned to her crew. Hyunwoo, are you getting good readings on their ships? Chief Engineer Bae Hyunwoo looked up from his console. He was a young man who loved new technology more than anything else. Yes, Captain. These are definitely the same design as the historical records. Exactly the same, actually. Fascinating, Soo-jung said. They really haven't changed anything in 3,500 years. The Velthari commander looked confused. Human, you will surrender now or face destruction. Well, Soo-jung said thoughtfully, I can't really surrender. I'm on patrol duty, but I could escort you toward Earth if you'd like, though I should warn you there might be some complications. Complications? Tactical Officer Osirin spoke up. She was a serious young woman who always worried about doing things properly. Captain, shouldn't we ask them to turn around? I feel bad about what's going to happen to them. Saren, they declared war on all humanity, Sujung pointed out. We can't just let them fly to Earth and start shooting at people. I know, but their ships are so old. It feels like picking on someone's grandfather. The Velthari commander was getting angry. Enough talk. You have 3 small ships against our 50 dreadnoughts. Surrender or die, Sujung sighed. Okay, if you insist. But I want you to know that I'm really sorry about this. Sorry about what? Saren, please target their weapon systems. Try not to hurt anyone. Already locked on, Captain. Hyunwoo, power up the defensive systems. I want to test those new upgrades. Which upgrades, Captain? All of them. The Velthari fleet opened fire first. 50 massive warships released everything they had at the 3 tiny human patrol vessels. The space around Earth's outer system lit up like a star as planet-killing weapons struck their targets. When the light faded, the 3 human ships were still there, completely undamaged. Interesting, Hyunwoo said, reading his instruments. Captain, their weapons didn't even get through our basic shields. How basic? Sojung asked. Training level. The shields we use for new cadets. Sub-Commander Velkoth stared at his screens in disbelief. Impossible. Our weapons can destroy moons. Maybe 3,500 years ago, Saren said gently. But Captain, should I fire back now? Just a little bit. We don't want to be mean. Saren pressed a few buttons on her console. 3 small beams of light shot out from the human patrol ships. They looked tiny compared to the massive weapons the Velthari had just used. The beams hit 3 of the Velthari dreadnoughts and sliced them in half like cutting paper. The massive ships broke apart and exploded in brilliant flashes of light. Oh no, Saren said sadly. I was trying to just disable their weapons. It's okay, Sujung said. You're still learning the new systems. Hyunwoo, what happened? The targeting computer automatically adjusted for their armor type, Hyunwoo explained. It didn't realize their hulls were so weak. Our weapons are designed for modern ships, not museum pieces. The remaining Velthari ships stopped firing and started backing away from the tiny human patrol vessels. This is impossible, Velkoth screamed. How did your small ship survive our attack? How did you destroy our dreadnought so easily? Sujung looked embarrassed. Well, the thing is, these aren't really military ships. They're just patrol vessels. We use them for training new officers and checking on space traffic. Training ships? Right. The real military ships are much stronger. These are just for beginners who are learning how to fly in space. Hyunwoo was getting excited as he read his instruments. Captain, this is perfect. We can finally test all the new systems. Look, their weapons are using focused plasma beams just like the old record said. And their armor is exactly the same thickness as predicted. Hyunwoo, Sujung said. Try not to sound so happy about blowing up their ships. Sorry, Captain. It's just that we've been waiting so long to see if our upgrades work against Velthari technology. Siren was scanning the enemy fleet. Captain, they have escape pods launching from damaged ships. Should we rescue them? Of course. We're not monsters. Sujung opened communication with the Velthari commander again. Sub-Commander, we're detecting survivors from your damaged ships. Would you like us to pick them up and provide medical assistance? Velkoth looked like his world had turned upside down. You want to help our wounded? Well, yes. They're hurt and floating in space. That's what you do when people are hurt. But we are enemies. We declared war. That's a political problem, Sujung said. Right now we have a rescue problem. Politics can wait. The human patrol ships began collecting escape pods from the destroyed Velthari vessels. The aliens inside were treated with medical care and given warm food. Many of them had never seen humans before and were surprised by how kind they were. One young Velthari soldier asked, Saren, why the humans were helping their enemies? You're not our enemies, Saren explained. Your leaders are having a disagreement with our leaders. That doesn't mean we want you to die in space. But your weapons destroyed our ships so easily. Our ships are newer, Saren said simply. That's not your fault. Meanwhile, Sub-Commander Velkoth was having an emergency meeting with his surviving captains. Their 50 mighty dreadnoughts had been reduced to 37 in less than 5 minutes. 3 small human ships had barely tried, and they had lost 13 vessels. How is this possible? One captain asked. Our intelligence said humans were weak. Our spies said they had no advanced weapons. Our spies were wrong, Velkoth said grimly. Or our intelligence is 3,500 years out of date. What do we do now? Velkoth looked at the 3 human patrol ships floating peacefully nearby. They were so small compared to his dreadnoughts, but they had just proven that size didn't matter. "We send a message to High Command," he said. "We tell them that everything we thought we knew about humans was wrong." "What should we tell them?" "Tell them that if these are their training ships, we don't want to meet their real military." Back on Captain Sujung's ship, Hyunwoo was practically bouncing with excitement. "Captain, the test data is incredible. Our new shielding blocked 100% of their attacks. Our weapons cut through their armor like it wasn't even there. And their tactical systems are so slow that our computers had to wait for them to finish thinking." "That's nice, Hyunwoo," Sujung said. "Saren, are all the survivors secure?" "Yes, Captain. Medical says they'll all be fine. Though many of them seem very confused." "Confused about what? About why we're not torturing them or throwing them out of airlocks?" Sujung shook her head sadly. "What kind of wars have they been fighting?" "The old kind, I think," Saren said. Sujung opened communication with Sub-Commander Velkoth one more time. "Sub-Commander, we've collected all your survivors. They're safe and healthy. We'll transfer them back to you when you're ready." "Why?" Velkoth asked. "Why are you being so kind to us?" "Because that's what people do," Sujung said. "We help each other, even when we disagree. This is not how war is supposed to work." "Maybe that's the problem," Sujung suggested. "Maybe it's time to try a different way." The news of the first battle reached Earth faster than the Velthari survivors could be returned to their fleet. More alien ships were arriving every hour, and each encounter ended the same way. Complete Velthari defeat by human ships that seemed too small and too weak to be dangerous. General Shin Tae-hyun had been expecting this day for most of his very long life. At 180 years old, he was one of the few humans who remembered when the truce was signed. He had been a young soldier then, watching as humanity agreed to stay in their own small corner of space. Now he sat in his office deep beneath the mountains of Colorado, surrounded by screens showing the approaching alien fleets. Each screen showed the same story: massive Velthari warships being easily defeated by tiny human patrol vessels. "Sir," his aide said, "the president wants to know if we should activate the defense networks." General Shin smiled. "Which defense networks?" "All of them, sir, not yet. Let's see how many more ships they send first. I want to make sure they bring everything they have." His aide looked confused. "Sir, shouldn't we be worried about more ships?" "Son," the general said kindly, "I've been waiting 150 years for this moment. A few more alien ships aren't going to ruin my day." The general turned to look at a wall covered with photographs. They showed the same family across many generations: his great-grandparents, grandparents, parents, children, and grandchildren. All of them had worked for this day. "Besides," he added, "it's time someone explained to our alien guests what humans have really been doing for the past 3,500 years. Dr. Jung Da-som was having the most exciting day of her career. As chief scientist for the Terra Defense Corps, she had spent 30 years working on projects that most people thought were just science fiction. Today, those projects were finally being used in real combat. "The field test results are incredible," she told her assistant, while reviewing data from the morning's battles. "The new shield systems absorbed 100% of incoming damage. The phase shift armor worked perfectly, and the microfusion weapons cut through Velthari hulls like they were made of cardboard." "Dr. Young," her assistant said carefully, "don't you think we should be more worried? There are thousands of alien warships heading for Earth." Da-som looked up from her computer screen. She was a small woman with wild hair and eyes that sparkled when she talked about science. "Worried? Why would I be worried? We've been preparing for this exact scenario for centuries. But what if something goes wrong? Then we use Plan B or Plan C, or any of the other 47 contingency plans we've developed." Da-som stood up and walked to a massive wall display showing the solar system. "Look at this. Every red dot is a Velthari ship. Every blue dot is one of our defense systems." Her assistant looked at the display and gasped. For every red dot, there were dozens of blue dots. "Dr. Young, how many defense systems do we have?" "How many do we need?" Da-som asked with a grin. Across the base, historian Ryu Chan-wook was frantically updating his records. He had spent his entire life documenting humanity's preparation for this day, but everything was happening so fast that his careful notes could barely keep up. "Day 1 of active hostilities," he dictated to his computer. "Velthari forces encountered human patrol units at 800 hours. Enemy casualties: 13 dreadnoughts destroyed, approximately 15,000 personnel. Human casualties, none. Damage to human vessels, none. He paused and shook his head in amazement. Note, Velthari. Tactical systems appear to be exactly as predicted by the planning committees of 2847 CE. No significant technological advancement observed in enemy forces. A message appeared on his screen from Dr. Young's lab. The latest analysis confirmed what everyone had suspected. The Velthari were using exactly the same technology they had used 3,500 years ago. Fascinating, Ryu muttered. They really haven't learned anything new. Meanwhile, the surviving Velthari commanders were having emergency meetings throughout their fleet. Sub-Commander Velkoth had been joined by dozens of other officers, all reporting the same impossible story. Tiny human ships were destroying their mighty dreadnoughts with ease. This makes no sense, Admiral Gertak said. Our weapons should be able to destroy any ship in the galaxy. Should be, yes, Velkoth agreed. But the humans have shields we've never seen before. Our most powerful weapons don't even scratch their paint. And their weapons, they cut through our armor like it's made of paper. One beam from a human patrol ship destroyed 3 of our dreadnoughts. Patrol ship? A training vessel. The humans use them to teach new officers how to fly in space. The room fell silent. If human training ships could destroy Velthari dreadnoughts, what could their real warships do? We need to contact the Emperor, Admiral Gertak said finally. He needs to know what we're facing. On Earth, General Shin finally decided it was time to give the aliens some answers. He opened a communication channel that would reach every Velthari ship in the solar system. Greetings, he said in his calm, grandfather voice. I am General Shin Tai-hyun of the Terra Defense Corps. Believe you have some questions about what's been happening to your ships. Hundreds of alien commanders appeared on screens throughout his command center. They all looked angry, confused, or scared. Human, Admiral Gertak shouted. What trickery is this? How do your weak ships defeat our mighty fleet? No trickery, General Shin said. Just preparation. You see, we've had a very long time to get ready for this day. Ready for what? For you to break the truce and attack us. We knew it would happen eventually. Your species always needs someone to conquer. Dr. Young appeared on the screen next to the general. We've been studying your technology for 3,500 years, she said cheerfully. We know exactly how your ships work, what weapons you use, and how thick your armor is. Impossible. Not impossible. Just thorough. We've run billions of combat simulations against your fleet. We know every tactic you might try and every weakness you might have. Ryu Chan-wook joined them on the screen. We've been keeping detailed records of your empire for millennia. We know your ship designs, your battle strategies, even your cultural habits. This war you've declared, we've been planning for it since before your great-grandparents were born. But how? Velkoth demanded. We never shared our military secrets with anyone. General Shin smiled sadly. You didn't have to. We learned everything we needed to know 3,500 years ago, when you were strong enough to make us sign a truce. We've been studying that data ever since. And improving on it, Dr. Young added. While you've been using the same ships and weapons for 3,500 years, we've been advancing our technology every single day. We've had more than 3,000 years to get better at everything. Every year we improved our ships a little bit, the general continued. Every year we made our weapons a little stronger. Every year we found new ways to defend ourselves. We've had 3,500 years of constant progress. 500 years of preparing for this exact war, Ryu added. Admiral Gertak stared at the 3 humans. You're saying you've been getting ready to fight us for 3,500 years? Not just you, General Shin said. Everyone. Every possible enemy, every possible threat. The truce didn't make us peaceful. It gave us time to become strong enough that no one would ever need to be afraid again. And we got very, very strong, Dr. Young said happily. The Velthari commanders looked at each other in growing horror. They had thought humans were weak prey waiting to be conquered. Instead, they had stumbled into a trap that had been 3,500 years in the making. What do you want from us? Admiral Gertak asked quietly. Right now? General Shin said. We want you to stop shooting at our patrol ships. Those are just kids learning how to fly. It's not fair to them. And then we talk. Like civilized people. Like we should have been doing all along. The general leaned forward on his screen. Admiral, you have a choice. You can keep fighting a war you cannot win against an enemy you never understood. Or you can sit down with us and learn what 3,500 years of human progress can offer to everyone. What if we choose to keep fighting? General Shin's smile became very sad. Then we'll show you what our real warships can do. And I promise you, Admiral, you don't want to see that. The moment of truth came when the Velthari made their final mistake. Despite General Shin's warnings, despite the evidence of their own eyes, High Commander Takvesh ordered his remaining fleet to attack Earth directly. Perhaps it was pride. Perhaps it was desperation. Perhaps it was the simple inability to accept that everything they believed was wrong. Whatever the reason, 3,000 Velthari warships moved toward Earth in the largest attack formation their empire had ever assembled. President Lee So-young watched from her office as the alien fleet approached. She was a calm woman who had led humanity through peaceful times and difficult ones. Today would be the most important day of her presidency, and possibly the most important day in human history. "Ma'am," her aide said, "General Shin is requesting permission to activate all defense systems." "All of them?" the president asked. "Yes, ma'am. Every single one we've built in the last 3,500 years. President So-young took a deep breath. For her entire life, she had heard stories about this day. Her grandmother had told her about the preparations. Her teachers had explained the plans. But hearing about something and seeing it happen were very different things. "Tell the general he has full authorization," she said, "and tell Admiral Ko that it's time." Admiral Ko Minsik had been waiting his entire career for this moment. He commanded the real human defense fleet, not the patrol ships that had been fighting the Velthari, but the actual military vessels that humanity had spent millennia perfecting. His flagship alone was larger than most Velthari dreadnoughts. It was also completely invisible to alien sensors, protected by shields that could absorb the power of a star, and armed with weapons that could reshape reality itself. "Admiral," his tactical officer reported, "all stealth fleets are in position. How many ships do we have?" Ko asked. 40,000 in the immediate area, sir. Another 60,000 if we need them." Ko nodded. The Velthari had 3,000 ships. Humanity had 100,000, and those were just the ones nearby. "Sir," his communications officer said, "President So-young is ready to address the galaxy." Around the galaxy, every communication system suddenly activated. On every world and every space station, on every ship, the same signal appeared. President So-young's face filled screens everywhere as she prepared to speak to trillions of beings across hundreds of worlds. "People of the galaxy," she began, "today marks the end of a very long experiment." She paused and looked directly at the camera. Behind her, through her office window, the approaching Velthari fleet was visible as tiny points of light. 3,500 years ago, humanity signed a truce with the Velthari Empire. We agreed to stay in our small corner of space and not interfere with their expansion. Many people thought this made us weak. Many people thought we were hiding because we were afraid. They were wrong. The president stood up and walked to her window. We weren't hiding from the Velthari. We were preparing for the day when they would show their true nature. We were getting ready for the day when someone would need to stop them. Across the galaxy, beings who had never heard of humans before watched in fascination. The Velthari were known to everyone as the most powerful military force in existence. What could these unknown humans possibly do against them? They were about to find out. "The Velthari Empire has conquered hundreds of worlds," the president continued. "They have enslaved dozens of species. They have turned the galaxy into their personal hunting ground, and for 3,500 years we have been watching, learning, and preparing to stop them. Today they declared war on humanity. Today they chose to break the peace that has protected them from us." In space around Earth, reality suddenly shifted. Where there had been empty space a moment before, 100,000 human warships suddenly appeared. They had been there all along, hidden by technology the Velthari couldn't even imagine. The human fleet was enormous. Each ship was a masterpiece of engineering that represented centuries of technological advancement. They moved with perfect coordination, like a single organism with 100,000 parts. High Commander Takvesh stared at his screens in absolute terror. His 3,000 ships, which had seemed so powerful just moments before, now looked like toys floating in an ocean of human military might. "This is impossible," he whispered. Admiral Ko opened a communication channel to the entire Velthari fleet. "High Commander Takvesh, this is Admiral Ko Minsik of the Human Defense Fleet. You are completely surrounded and outgunned by a factor of 30 to 1. I strongly suggest you listen to what our president has to say. Back on Earth, President So Young was still speaking to the galaxy. But we are not conquerors, she said. We are not destroyers. We became powerful not to rule others, but to protect them. For 3,500 years, while we prepared for this day, we have also been watching over the galaxy in ways most of you never knew. Dr. Han Ye-jin, humanity's chief xenobiologist, appeared on the screen next to the president. She had spent her life studying alien cultures and had helped plan humanity's secret protection of dozens of species. The plague that almost destroyed the Zephyrian homeworld 50 years ago, Dr. Han said. We stopped it. The asteroid that was heading for the Centauri colonies, we redirected it. The civil war on Rigel 7 that ended so suddenly, we mediated it. For centuries, we have been the galaxy's secret guardians, President So Young continued. We have prevented wars, stopped disasters, and protected innocent people, all without anyone knowing we were there. Around the galaxy, billions of beings began to understand the mysterious coincidences, the lucky breaks, the disasters that never quite happened. It had all been humanity, working quietly in the background to keep everyone safe. And now, the president said, the Velthari have forced us to reveal ourselves. High Commander Takvesh found his voice. You've been protecting the galaxy from us? Among other things, Admiral Ko said. You're not the only threat out there. Just the most persistent one. What other threats? President So Young's expression became very serious. Commander, the Velthari Empire isn't even close to being the most dangerous thing in this galaxy. We've been dealing with threats you can't imagine. Planet killers from dark space, machine intelligences that eat stars, creatures that exist between dimensions. The reason your empire has lasted as long as it has, Dr. Han added, is because we've been protecting you from things that would have destroyed you centuries ago. Protecting us? The galaxy is a dangerous place, Admiral Ko explained. There are things out there that make your dreadnoughts look like paper airplanes. We've been standing guard against them for millennia. High Commander Takvesh looked around at his fleet, surrounded by human ships that could have destroyed them all in seconds but hadn't fired a shot. Why? He asked quietly. Why protect us? We've conquered worlds. We've enslaved species. We've been your enemies. President So Young's voice became gentle. Because everyone deserves a chance to grow. Everyone deserves a chance to become better than they were. Even the Velthari. We hoped, she continued, that given enough time, your people would evolve beyond the need for conquest. We hoped you would learn to build instead of destroy, to create instead of consume. And if we don't, the president was quiet for a long moment. Then we'll do what we've always done. We'll protect the innocent from those who would harm them. Even if it means protecting them from us, even then. High Commander Takvesh stared at the human president's face on his screen. For the first time in his life, he began to understand what true power looked like. It wasn't about having the biggest ships or the most weapons. It was about having the strength to choose mercy when you could choose destruction. What happens now? He asked. Now, President So Young said, you have a choice. You can continue being the galaxy's predators, and we'll continue protecting everyone else from you. Or you can join us in protecting the galaxy from the real threats that are coming. Real threats? Admiral Ko's expression became grim. Commander, in about 50 years, something is going to come out of dark space that makes your entire empire look like a child's toy. We've been preparing for that too. We could use all the help we can get. High Commander Takvesh looked at his magnificent fleet, surrounded by ships so advanced they might as well have been magic. He thought about his empire's proud history of conquest and domination. Then he thought about what these humans were offering, a chance to be part of something bigger than war. What do you need us to do? He asked. President So Young smiled for the first time since the conversation began. Learn, grow, help us protect everyone who can't protect themselves. And if we agree? Then welcome to the real galaxy, she said. There's so much more to it than you ever imagined. As the human fleet began to power down its weapons, High Commander Takvesh realized that the war was over before it had really begun. But something else was just starting. The first day of a new kind of existence where strength was used to protect rather than conquer. Admiral Ko, he said, we accept your offer. Good, Ko replied, because you're going to love what we've been building out here, and you're going to be amazed by who else is helping us build it. For the first time in 3,500 years, the Velthari were no longer alone in the dark. They were part of something larger, something better, something worth protecting. Admiral Kim Tae-ho stood on the bridge of the UES Harmony, watching the stars change color as they dropped out of faster-than-light travel. After 3 months of flying through empty space, they had finally reached their destination. Nexus Prime, the capital of the galaxy, floated before them like a giant metal flower made of 1,000 different parts. "Sir, we're getting signals from over 800 different alien races," reported Lieutenant Park So-young from her station. "They all want to talk to us," Tae-ho smiled. This was the moment humanity had worked toward for 50 years. Ever since they had learned they were not alone in the universe, every human had dreamed of this day. They would join the Galactic Federation as equals, sharing their knowledge and culture with beings from across the stars. Dr. Park So-min walked up to stand beside him. She carried a small metal box containing humanity's greatest treasures. Inside were recordings of Mozart and Beatles songs, paintings by great artists, and the complete works of Shakespeare. There were also files showing human science, medicine, and technology. Everything that made humanity special was in that box. "Are you ready, Doctor?" Tae-ho asked. "I've been ready my whole life," So-min replied. She had spent 20 years learning alien languages and customs. She knew more about galactic politics than any other human alive. If anyone could convince the aliens that humanity deserved a place among the stars, it was her. The Harmony moved slowly toward the massive space station. Around them, ships from hundreds of worlds flew in perfect formations. Some looked like metal insects, others like flowing water turned solid. The diversity was beautiful and terrifying at the same time. "Incoming transmission from Federation Control," announced Communications Officer Lee Jin-soo. "They're giving us permission to dock at Bay 947. As they flew closer, Tae-ho could see that Nexus Prime was even bigger than Earth's moon. Millions of aliens lived and worked on the station. The sight of so much life and activity filled him with hope for humanity's future. The docking process took 2 hours. When it was complete, So-min gathered her team of 12 diplomats and scientists. They had practiced this moment 1,000 times. Every word they would speak had been carefully chosen by Earth's greatest minds. The airlock opened with a soft hiss. The air that flowed in smelled strange, like flowers mixed with metal. So-min stepped forward first, followed by her team. The corridor beyond was filled with aliens of every size and shape imaginable. A tall being made of what looked like living crystal approached them. Its voice came from speakers built into the walls around them. "Welcome, humans of Earth. I am Chancellor Vexithara, leader of the Galactic Federation. We have been waiting to meet you." So-min bowed in the formal manner she had learned. "Thank you, Chancellor. We are honored to be here. Humanity has dreamed of this day since we first looked up at the stars." "Yes, we know," Vexithara replied. "We have been watching you for some time. Your species is interesting." The way it said interesting made Tae-ho feel uneasy, but he pushed the feeling aside. First contact was always difficult. There were bound to be misunderstandings. They were led through corridors filled with aliens going about their daily business. Some stopped to stare at the humans, but most ignored them. After 30 minutes of walking, they reached a massive chamber with seats arranged in circles rising up toward a domed ceiling. This was the Federation Council, where representatives from 847 worlds made decisions that affected trillions of lives. "Please, take your seats," Vexithara said, pointing to a small section near the bottom of the chamber. "The session will begin shortly." So-min and her team sat down. Around them, aliens of every description filled the other seats. The noise of hundreds of different languages being spoken at once was overwhelming. Suddenly, the chamber fell silent. Vexithara had moved to the center of the room, and its crystal body was glowing brighter. "Fellow members of the Federation," it began, "today we address the question of humanity. After careful study, we have reached our decision." So-min felt her heart beating faster. This was it, the moment that would determine humanity's future among the stars. "Humans are a young species," Vexithara continued. "In just 10,000 years, they have gone from living in caves to flying between stars. This rapid growth concerns us greatly." Murmurs rose from the alien audience. Some sounded worried, others angry. "Furthermore," the Chancellor went on, "humans show disturbing tendencies toward violence and expansion. In their short history, they have fought thousands of wars. They have built weapons capable of destroying their own world. They consume resources at an alarming rate." So-min stood up. "Chancellor, if I may respond—" "Silence," Vexithara commanded. "We have not finished our evaluation." The crystal being's glow became brighter and more threatening. Around the chamber, other aliens were making sounds that could only be expressions of anger or fear. After much debate, the Federation has concluded that humanity represents a clear threat to galactic peace and stability. Therefore, we have decided that the human species must be eliminated before it can spread further into space. The words hit So-Min like a physical blow. What, you can't be serious. We came here in peace. We want to be your friends. Your intentions are irrelevant, Vexthara replied coldly. What matters is your potential for destruction. The galaxy has enjoyed 10,000 years of peace. We will not allow one violent species to destroy that. Throughout the chamber, aliens were cheering and applauding. The sound was horrible, like the roar of a bloodthirsty crowd at an ancient Roman arena. The execution will begin immediately, the Chancellor announced. All human colonies will be destroyed simultaneously. We have prepared a special broadcast so that beings throughout the galaxy can witness the end of this threat. So-Min felt sick. This couldn't be happening. They had come here with gifts, with open hearts, ready to join the galactic community. Instead, they were being sentenced to death by creatures who had never given them a chance to prove their peaceful intentions. Alarms began sounding throughout Nexus Prime. On screens around the chamber, images appeared showing human colonies scattered across 47 worlds. Men, women, and children were going about their daily lives, completely unaware that death was coming for them. Citizens of the galaxy, Vexthara announced, witness the end of the human threat. The screens showed Federation warships appearing in orbit around every human world. Massive weapons powered up, targeting cities, farms, and research stations. So-Min watched in horror as plasma beams reached down from space like the fingers of an angry god. Where they touched, everything died. Buildings melted, forests burned, and 10 billion human lives ended in moments of terrible fire. On the colony world of New Harmony, Captain Lee Jinwoo managed to broadcast a final message before his ship was destroyed. This is Captain Lee of the New Soul. We are under attack by alien forces. They're killing everyone. Men, women, children, everyone. Tell Earth. Tell them to remember us. Tell them to make them pay. The transmission cut off as Jinwoo's ship exploded. Back on Nexus Prime, the alien audience was cheering even louder. They were celebrating the death of 10 billion innocent people as if it were a sports victory. Taeho reached for his sidearm, but alien guards were already moving toward the human delegation. Energy weapons fired, and one by one the humans fell. As darkness closed around him, Taeho managed to activate his emergency transmitter. His final message raced across space toward Earth at faster than light speed. Earth, this is Admiral Kim Taeho. The aliens, they've killed everyone. All the colonies are gone. They're going to come for you next. Remember us. Avenge us. The transmission ended as Taeho's life did. The last thing he saw was Vexthara's crystal face, glowing with satisfaction at a job well done.